Hi, I'm Coach Mikhail, and I'm excited because today I get the opportunity to discuss the system that has personally made a difference in my life and so many clients that we work with that combine two of my favorite subjects, which are finance and fitness. So today I want to simplify some things that most people have made way more complicated than they need to be. So if weight loss has ever felt confusing, frustrating, or like you're doing everything right, but nothing's happening, it's not because you're incapable. It's because nobody has clearly explained how this actually works in real life. And so today, I'm going to give you a framework that makes calories make sense. And once this clicks, weight loss stops feeling emotional and starts feeling very predictable for you. So when life throws those curveballs and your routine gets thrown off track, you can feel confident because now you have the tools and systems that give you control because you have a system that you can fall back on that you know works. So let's go ahead and dive into the money method. So I'm going to start by being very direct. All right. If you ever work with me, I like to be straight to the point. So if you want to control your body weight, you must learn to manage your calories. Not should, not it would help if you do it. You must learn to manage your calories. And so no diet hacks overrides this. No supplements can override this. No fasting windows overrides this. Calories are the law, and laws don't care about opinions or feelings. I don't say this to be harsh. I say this to empower you because once you understand the rule, you stop guessing, you stop bouncing from one fad diet to the next. You take back control because now you actually have the power to change and change in a way in which you have full control over. And that starts with what you place in your hand and put into your mouth. Let's talk about one of the biggest things that we notice here when it comes to the fitness industry and how a fitness culture often overcomplicates a simple truth. So the problem is the fitness industry has overcomplicated some things that is fundamentally very simple. Instead of teaching the skill of calorie management, it sells rules. You've probably heard things like you have to eat every 2 to 3 hours to burn calories, or carbs make you gain weight. So you want to minimize or avoid them, right? Um, you must do fasted cardio to burn fat. It's another one. It sells food lists. You've probably seen all kind of lists like the clean eating list or the bodybuilding list or the list for people who want to eat on a keto diet. Another thing that the fitness overcomplicates talks about, it sells restrictions. So no sugar if you want to lose weight or lose body fat, no eating after 7 p.m., no alcohol. Another thing it does is it sells identity-based diets. So I'm vegan or I'm a keto. I'm carnivore. You start hearing people, and you may be one of those that actually labels yourself as a certain type of diet or style of eating. And there's nothing wrong with these things or methods per se, because ultimately they all work. They all can work as long as you're putting in the work with them. The issue arises mainly though when you start getting so much information it confuses you, and you start getting mixed information that sends most people bouncing from one system to the next. And you start the yo-yo thing of losing and regaining the same 10 to 20 pounds for years and years, and it leaves you frustrated. It's not because you're lazy, it's more so just because you never really learn or don't fully understand the system that impacts our calorie balance. So here's the problem. Most people hear calories and tune out. It feels boring. It feels abstract. It feels like numbers on a label that don't mean anything. Or it feels too complicated to understand, like, which is why the diets and the rules are pleasing to most people. But ultimately, we are robbing ourselves of the ultimate control and freedom we gain once we really do understand calories themselves. So let's talk about them a little bit more. And I have a riddle for you. I would like you all to take a guess. So I'm something you can spend, save, or overspend. I add up Whether you track me or not, ignore me, and I quietly pile up into debt. Manage me well, and I buy you freedom. What am I? Some of you guessed it. The answer is money. But also, just like money, the answer could be calories. Calories are something that you can spend, you can save, you can overspend when you overeat. They add up whether you track them or not. If you ignore them, they quietly can pile up into debt, which is equivalent to weight gain, fat gain. But if you manage them well, they can buy you freedom, which ultimately looks like that dream physique or those health and wellness goals that you have for yourself. So let's talk more about it. Forget the adage, calories equal fuel. I'm pretty sure you all heard that 1,000 times. I like to reframe your mind to look at calories as currency. Your body runs on a daily budget, and fat loss works exactly like paying off credit card debt. If you always spend what you earn, your bank account doesn't change. If you always eat what you burn, your body doesn't change. The rules are the same. If you overspend, debt grows when we talk about finances. But if you overeat, fat grows, and that's how weight gain happens. But if you spend less than you earn, you can use those excess funds to pay down debt and save money. But if you eat less calories than you burn, you lose body fat. So fat loss really isn't a mystery. It's math. It's like I said, if you're trying to lose fat, you're in debt payoff mode. You need to spend slightly less than your body burns. Not forever, just long enough to pay down the balance. That might mean smaller portions, saying no to seconds, skipping extras. It's just a temporary strategy to allow you to get to your goal. And it works the same way as paying off credit card debt. Every day, your body has a budget. If you spend too much, you end up in debt, just like your finances. If you spend what you have, you break even. But if you spend a little less, you pay off debt. And that's it. No secrets, no tricks. It's pretty straightforward. Now, the inverse is also true. You can eat a little more without gaining weight as long as you're staying within your new budget. And with that new budget comes a little bit more freedom. Just like when you have disposable income, you can enjoy the things you want financially in life a little more within reason. Ultimately, this is what gets you to that food freedom state more quickly, where you can have that extra cocktail or dessert here and there without feeling the food guilt. So let's dive into the strategies we use to do this. There are 8 money strategies that are common to paying down debt that you can use in your diet to manage your calories easier and more simply. I'm not going to go through all 8. What we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make sure that you receive the full guide that has all of our strategies at the conclusion of the actual event. But today we're going to go through a handful of them for you so you can have an idea of the most important ones. So let's go ahead and dive in. Strategy number 1 is you always want to make a budget. We need to know what we can spend every day and what our budget is, so that way we can know what our baseline is. Nobody gets out of financial debt without knowing their numbers. And it's the same way with calories. You need a starting calorie target. A great way to actually figure out what that is by using the actual calorie calculator. It'll help give you a baseline. It pulls simple information such as your age, goals, current weight, height, etc. And it will let you know what you can spend. So that way you're no longer guessing, because the guessing is what keep people stuck. And as you can see, there's a QR code on the screen. That's a QR code that takes you directly to our website to use our actual calculator that we have right on our website that you can use to figure out what your starting calories need to be based on the goals that you have for yourself. And using a calculator at the starting point is great, but I really want you to just keep in mind that the starting numbers are exactly that. As things change, as life change, as goals change, You always want to be paying attention to where you're starting and making the proper adjustments based off your observations as you go day to day, week to week, as you're working towards your goals. So let's talk about the second, tracking your spending. When you log your food, even roughly, you see where the money is going. Few apps that we recommend when it comes to tracking are MyFitnessPal, which is still one of the largest and best when it comes to the fitness tracker apps that are out there. Is what we use inside of our program for all of our clients currently as well. You got Macro First. It's newer, but it comes with a lot of really cool features that a lot of people like to use, and it makes the ease of use a lot easier for you. Chronometer. Chronometer has more advanced settings and is really cool where you can get and adjust the settings to specific dietary needs. So, for example, if you're gluten intolerant, it will allow you to track intolerances in the things that you eat. So that way you can make proper adjustments as you're tracking the foods that you're eating. And a macro factor is also really cool because it allows you to track your body weight in the app, and it shows you the scale fluctuations based on your diet to help you pinpoint the weight fluctuations that we all have from day to day, week to week when it comes to working towards our fat loss goals. That will help you have an overall better experience and understand the timing and the foods that you're actually eating and how they impact your body on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. Most importantly, starting with that budget, figuring out what your daily calorie goal is based off your goals. Next, we want to get an app that allows us to track what we're actually putting into our bodies, so that way we can see how we're spending our calories each day. Let's talk about the third strategy, which is you want to cut back on big expenses first. Now, if you want to save money, you don't start with 50-cent coupons, you cut the big expenses, right? And so big expenses are always different for everyone. So I like to pose a question for you, and this is something that you only would know. What are the one or two big things that you personally know right now? If you change these things or stop these things or cut these out, would make the biggest difference in your health and wellness. That's the place where you always want to start. Whatever that is, write it down because whenever you're talking about really making a change, losing fat, we all know the things that we like to do. But here are four common ones that are some of the biggest killers amongst most people when it comes to stopping you from accomplishing those goals. Alcohol. Alcohol is a big common one. We all like to socialize, we all like to hang out with friends, but alcohol is something that can carry a lot of calories. And after a few drinks, especially if you mix those with like some type of sugar or pop or juice, those calories add up very quickly. Before you know it, you can have two or three drinks and you spend about 700 calories in your daily spending and you didn't even notice or even track it. And those things ultimately add up over the course of a week. Fast food. Fast food will get you every time because the food it tastes very good, but it's also processed and it's not a it's packed with a lot of calories. So fast food is one that simply by cutting that out, it can easily give you back a few hundred calories in your day when you don't actually have those foods compared to you preparing your foods at home. High calorie desserts. These don't necessarily have to be the desserts you get from restaurants or from the store. It could be some very simple things like the cookies or ice cream or chips and things like that that we all enjoy. Very, very, very small portions that consume a lot of calories that it's very easily to eat a lot of and you don't even think twice about it. And then lastly, let's talk about large portions. Large portions are one of those things that they may not be as much as we actually think. One thing that we, especially in America, we experience is called portion distortion, which is the perception shift that we've had over the years where oversized modern food servings are wrongly considered normal, which leads to chronic weight gain or overeating. A lot of times we have these big, large plates when we go out to eat, and it's filled with tons of calories. Easily one meal at a restaurant could easily be 15, 18, 2,000 plus calories. And that's just one meal that you had in that day. That doesn't take into consideration anything else that you may have eaten or drinking before or after that point of that particular meal. And it's so easy in the American diet to easily have 3, 4, or 5,000 calories in a day and not even think twice about it. Ultimately, cutting back on the big expenses here move the needle way faster than obsessing over the tiny little things like the type of salad dressing that you're putting on your salad, your salads, or what kind of oils that you're cooking your foods in. So we're gonna skip the strategy number six. Like I said, we're gonna give you all eight. I picked out four of the best ones that I feel like make the biggest impact right away. So we're gonna go ahead and skip ahead to number six, which is automate good decisions. People who save money set up automatic transfers so that way they don't actually have to think about their savings. And with food, you can automate good decisions as well. Things like meal prepping ahead of time, keeping go-to healthy snacks that are ready and available in the house. Heck, don't even keep tempting or junk food items in the house. These are all ways in which you can just automate your process to making good decisions to make it a little bit easier for you. In our program, we talk about the five laws of weight loss. And number four is access is stronger than willpower. If your environment is set up counterintuitive to your goals, your environment will win over willpower every time. You want to make sure that you set your environment up as much as possible to support your goals. When your environment is primed for your success, it makes making good choices easy, and you don't have to worry about your willpower because willpower is fleeting and it doesn't always last. Some very simple tips are make sure you prep 3 lunches on Sunday. Example would be chicken, rice, and vegetables in containers. Instead of scrambling at noon and trying to figure out what you're going to eat or ordering takeout, you grab a prep meal. That's a way of just automating your decisions, eliminating willpower, and making sure you have something very simple and easy and macro friendly ready to go that can support your goals. Automate your savings, no willpower needed. It's the same way with the calories. The other strategies that we talk about, so you have an idea of what they are. Number four is pay yourself worth first. This is simply building meals around, building meals around protein and whole foods before snacks. So making sure you're getting the most bang for your buck in the foods that you're consuming before you have those little treats or those snacks that are the calories that may not be as most beneficial to you in that day. All right, number five, the snowball method. So snowball method is very simple. It's make one change, master it, and then you add another one. Again, the guy dives into these things a little bit more and a lot more in depth for you. Number seven, stop weekend splurges. So you cannot diet Monday through Thursday and then blow it Sunday through Friday. I mean, Friday through Sunday. You could be perfect all those days, but literally a couple days could literally throw off all the progress and hard work you've made over the week just in a couple days. So be mindful of that, especially when you're focused on the goal of fat loss. All right. And the last goal is keep a cushion. Just like in real life, you always want to have a cushion for that rainy day, that emergency fund, that savings plan. Keep a cushion of 100 to 200 calories for life to happen. You never know how the day could take you, where the course could go. And you always want to make sure you have a couple extra calories that you have to spend at the end of your day. And that you can spend if you need to, but ideally you don't, just to make sure that you are hitting your calorie goals on a daily basis. So keep that cushion. So again, you'll get the guides with all the money strategies after the workshop. If you're thinking I'm doing better but not losing, to be honest with you, you're eating more than you think. Forgot to log snacks, bites, the little sips, the little things like that you may come across, chips while you're prepping your food, probably eating more than you think. That's normally the number one cause. Second, weekends erase the deficit. Just like I said in the previous side, 1 or 2 days on the weekend with you wanting to hang out, socialize, when you're working towards a goal, to completely wipe out you being consistent and being perfect on all on your macros the whole entire week. One of my mantras that I use with our clients is win the weekend. That seems like the time where most people fall off track because that's when you have a little bit more freedom and the schedule's a little different than a routine day to day. So it's super, super important that you really lock in and focus on those weekends to make sure they don't take you out and disrupt the progress you've made throughout the week. Win the weekend. And the last one is you're being accurate most of the time, but fat loss requires consistency. So you can be consistent 80% of the time, But fat loss requires closer to 95% of the time when it comes to accomplishing a goal. And it's not 100% all the time where you have to be that way, just until you actually accomplish that goal. Because once you accomplish that goal, a lot more opportunity opens up to you for a different type of life and allows you to actually be able to eat more and enjoy more of the things that you may want to. Here's an example. I remember once told me, but I'm perfect all week. And she was. She literally was tracking everything. She did a great job of it. But then Friday through Sunday added up to an extra 2,000 calories. She wasn't gaining weight, but she wasn't losing either. And once she tightened up the weekends, the scales finally started to move. It's no way we would have known that unless she actually was tracking. And I'll even give you a personal example. Early in my one of my when I had a goal of losing fat, um, one of my go-to snacks were peanuts. I love cashews. I love walnuts. I love almond, macadamia nuts, pistachios, whatever nut. I like it, right? And I would always keep bags of nuts just for things to snack on. So instead of chips, I'm like, okay, I'm having a healthy snack, right? I'm having some nuts. Well, nuts are very high in fat, and they are very calorie dense in a small portion. And so I would go throughout my day. I would, have my foods prep. I would try thinking I'm staying on top of my diet, but I would have handful of peanuts here and there throughout the day, every day. And over the course of a week, I found out that I was adding an extra few thousand calories to to my weekly goals and was wondering why the scale wasn't moving the way I wanted to. Heck, even some weeks, depending on how much peanuts I had, I would see the scale increase, thinking that I'm good in all the other areas. And so it's those small things that oftentimes we don't notice and we don't track that are holding us back and sabotaging us from accomplishing the goals that we have when it comes to fat and weight loss. So debt payoff mode is not forever. Fat loss mode is not forever. You sacrifice more in the short term so you can gain freedom in the long term. Once you're at your goal weight, you get more wiggle room. You can enjoy meals. You can go on trips. You can live, but you earn that freedom by understanding the math first. Imagine opening up your closet and everything fits. Everything. You don't have to worry about trying to find a new outfit. You can just see what you got, mix and match, put whatever you have together, put together your best outfit, go out and enjoy your time. You don't have to feel like you have to buy something new out of necessity because what you do have doesn't fit you right or you don't like the way it looks. Imagine going out without guilt and feeling in full control instead of confused. That's what's on the other side. And if you need help applying this to your life, that's what we're here for. You can see our QR code there. Feel free to scan it. You can book a code for, like I said, a pressure-free consultation. We'll also have links that we'll send out to you at the conclusion of the event as well, if it's something that you're interested in. Whether you work with us or not, understand this. Your body isn't broken. You're not failing. You just need the right framework. Calories are currency. Spend them wisely.